Welcome to part 3 in the Java2Life tutorial series. In this part of the tutorial series, we'll be focusing on the basic arithmetic operators. An arithmetic operator is an operator used to perform mathematical calculations in our code. The four basic arithmetic operators are multiplication, division, addition, and subtraction. Multiplication is simplified by an asterisk, division is a forward slash, addition is plus, and subtraction is a minus. If I hop over to my code here, you'll be able to see four commands that showcase all four of these operators in action. So the system.out.println command basically evaluates whatever expression is within this parentheses, right? So it does 1 plus 1, and that equals 2. And then it prints out the value down here. So as you can see, 1 plus 1 equals 2, 1 minus 1 equals 0, 1 asterisk 2 is the exact same thing as 1 multiplied by 2 in the coding world, and the answer to that is 2. And then 1 forward slash 1 is the same thing as 1 divided by 1, and the answer to that is just 1. Now, there's a very specific operator called the modulo operator, and it's used only in coding for the most part. Again, there's some exceptions, but it's mostly in coding. The theory is that in basic division, if the equation doesn't have a whole number as its quotient or, as the answer, then there is a remainder, right? And that remainder is what's outputted by the modulo operator. So in this example, we have the equation 3723 divided by 23. The answer to this is 161, and there's a remainder of 20, and this remainder is what would be outputted by the modulus operator. This would just be the answer to division. So let me show you that in code. Okay, so we have 3,723 divided by 23, and we have 3,723 modulus 23. So basically, this is going to divide 23 into 3,723 and return to us the quotient, and this number is going to return to us this expression is going to return to us the remainder. So once we do this, you'll see that 161 is the quotient and 20 is the remainder. Going back into the slideshow, you can see that's exactly true. 161 is the quotient and 20 is the remainder. So in conclusion, the modulo operator just outputs the remainder. One good thing about the modulo operator to mention is that if you have a number smaller, so a number on the left that's smaller than a number on the right, so imagine that these two values were swapped, right? Then it'll always just output the value of the left number. If the left number is less than the right number, modulus will just output the left number. Now, there's a certain thing called compound assignment operators, and basically you can combine arithmetic operations and assignment operators to change the value of a variable in one line of code, okay? So there's all these operators, and instead of explaining them to you, I'm going to write some code with them to show you how it works. So we have a variable here. It's a type integer because it's storing a number here. And that variable is going to be called x, okay? Now, the plus plus operator is a compound assignment operator because it takes the current value of x and it adds 1 to it. So it does this line of code right here, but it simplifies it, right? So instead of having to write x equals x, you just take this whole thing out and you write x plus plus. And when you print this out, we have a value of 1. That's what the variable x is storing, and you add 1 to that. And the answer to that is just 2, okay? We have the exact opposite of this operator called the minus minus, and it would subtract 1 from the value of x. So we just added 1 to the value of x, and now we're subtracting 1 from that. So the answer of 2 minus 1 is 1. Now, there's a couple more operators to mention. We have the multiply equal operator and the divided equal operator, okay? So all this line of code is saying is, take the current value of x, which is 1, okay? After doing all this, it's now just 1, and multiply it by whatever value is on the right side here. So 1 multiplied by 2 now equals 2, and then it sets the value of x to equal that value, right? So if we compare it to something like this, they're doing the exact same thing, right? It's 1 multiplied by 2, if you think about it that way. But the compound assignment operator is then setting x to equal the value of this expression, okay? And that goes for all compound assignment operators. They do their little multiplication, or in this case here, division, and then they assign the variable to have that value. So let's work through this, okay? We start with a value of 1, and then we add 1 to it using the plus plus operator. Now we have a value of 2. Then we subtract 1 from that using the minus minus operator. Now we have a value of 1. Then we multiply that value of 1 by 2 to get a new value of 2, since 1 multiplied by 2 is 2. And then we do 2, which is the current value, divided by 2. And x now equals 1, since 2 divided by 2 equals 1. And you can see, this all adds up, right? 1 plus 1 is 2, 2 minus 1 is 1, 1 multiplied by 2 is 2, and then 2 divided by 2 is 1. Okay? And you can also do, if, for example, you don't want to just add 1 or subtract 1, you can do the exact same thing as the multiply equal and the divide equal with a plus equal and a minus equal, right? So all this is saying is, take the current value of x and then add 2 to that value, and then set x to equal whatever the value of that expression is. So we just did 2 divided by 2. Now x equals 1. So the new value of x is 1, and we're going to add 2 to that value, and then set x to whatever that is. So 1 plus 2 is 3, okay? So x equals 3. And then we're going to do the opposite, and we're going to subtract 2. So we have a 3, right? This is what this just did. It did 1 plus 2 equals 3. And now we're doing 3 minus 2, and we're setting the value of x to be whatever 3 minus 2 is. And the answer to 3 minus 2 is 1. So again, you can see the plus, let's show you here. The plus equals 2 did 1 plus 2 equals 3. And then the minus equals 2 did 3 minus 1. 3 minus 2 is 1. Okay? One little thing to show you here is the difference between a compound assignment operator and just a regular arithmetic operation, okay? So you have a value y, and this equals 5, okay? And we have a variable z, and that equals y plus 5, okay? So y has a value of 5, and then z has a value of 5 plus 5. Since y has a value of 5, you just plug that in down here. Make sense? So z has a value of 10 because 5, which is the value of y, plus 5 equals 10. And you'll see here, this is the value of z, and this is the value of y, right? Z has a value of 10, and y has a value of 5. Now, if we were to do an assignment operator, okay, we say y plus equals 5, then you'll notice that the actual value of y changes to be a 10 because we're doing this exact same expression, right? Basically, what we're doing is we're saying y equals y plus 5, okay? It's the exact same expression, except now instead of changing the value of z to equal this, we're changing the value of y to equal this. And that's the difference between just a regular expression like this and an assignment operator. A compound assignment operator changes the actual value of the variable. Meanwhile, just doing, y plus 5 doesn't change the value of the variable. The variable still remains a 5, while in this case, the variable would become a 10. Now, things get a little bit trickier when we start looking at order of operations, okay? So just bear with me here. The first thing that always happens is parentheses, and then you have your variable plus plus or your variable minus minus. And then after that, there's this thing called a pre-increment, which means you put a plus plus before the variable name, or you do a minus minus before the variable name. And this is important to note because a pre-increment runs after a post-increment in the case of order of operations. Then we have your multiplication, division, and modulus, your addition and subtraction, and then your compound assignment operators are going to be running last. Now let's do a couple of examples to show you how order of operations work. Okay? So just look at the expressions here, and I will tell you what the outputs are going to be. So computers start by looking left to right. They always look left to right, and they find the highest priority in the order of operations. So in this one, the stuff in parentheses is higher priority than the multiplication symbol. So we start with the stuff in parentheses. We have a 1 plus a 4, and the value of that is a 5. And then we take this value, the value of the expression in the parentheses, which is 5, and we multiply it by 3 to get the answer 15. In this one, we again have parentheses, and parentheses are higher priority than addition and subtraction. And then we look inside here and try to solve the problem. Since we have multiplication, multiplication is higher priority than addition. So we do multiplication first, and then we add. So 1 times 4 is 4, 4 plus 3 is 7. Now that the parentheses is done, we subtract 1 from this whole value, and we get 7 minus 1 equals 6, and 6 is the final value of this expression. This final one here really just ties it all together. We have parentheses and a modulus operator, and the modulus operator has lower priority than the parentheses. We do the parentheses first, that's what that means. 1 multiplied by 5 is just 5. And then we have addition and subtraction, which are on the same tier of order of operations. And what that means is we run things from left to right. So we do 1 multiplied by 5 is 5. This always goes first. And then we go left to right. 5 plus 3 is 8. 8 minus 1 is 7. And then 7 modulus 7. How would we think about that, okay? So we start by doing 7 divided by 7. And we know the value of that is just 1. Okay? Then the modulus operator is going to give us whatever the remainder of that expression is. Since 7 divided by 7 is just an integer, it's a 1, right? That means that there will be no remainder, and modulus will just return a 0. Now a little bit about post and pre-increments. So we have a variable of type int because it stores a numerical value, and we're going to call it AB, okay? And then this runs here. I just want to mention something very interesting about how this works, okay? So AB is inputted into the expression before anything else, okay? So when it comes to a plus plus AB and an AB plus plus, right? This will run first, but above all else, the variable will be inserted into the expression, okay? Above anything else, okay? So this becomes 1 plus plus, and then 1 plus plus, right? So plus plus 1 and then plus 1 plus plus, right? Extremely confusing, but whatever. Then this will run first, giving us a value of 2. And then this will run, giving us a value of 2. And the answer to this equation is 4. So I want to explain that one more time because I'm sure that's confusing, okay? When you are plugging a variable into an expression, the variable is plugged in before anything else, even something as high priority as increments. So this means that the current value of AB is plugged in before changing what the value of this is, okay? Then this is done. So we have 1 plus plus, and the value of this is 2. And then we have and then we have plus plus 1, and the value of that is also 2. So the answer to this is 4. Now, when you're running something like 1 divided by 0, you're going to get this error. It's called an arithmetic exception. And that's because you cannot divide by 0 in any programming language because dividing by 0 gives you an undefined number. But I do want to highlight what happens when you do 1 divided by 2. Okay? The natural answer is 0.5. But in code, the answer is just 0. And I'll explain why in the next video. But for now, just do not stop practicing. Practice, 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 okay? Find as many examples as you can, and if you need some help, come to our Discord server, and we'll be more than willing to tutor you.